All right, welcome to this week's Dev Questions. Today's question isn't really a question, it's more of a statement, but I'm going to treat it kind of like it's a question because I know this is a very common thing amongst a lot of people. Denwell says, "Thanks for the advice. I'm hungry to do this, but at 42, I feel like I'm too late. San Diego has a lot of dev job opportunities, but I feel too old." Well, Denwell, there's a lot of resources out there and a lot of videos of people talking about, am I too old to start programming? And they offer a lot of advice and a lot of honestly very good advice, but in this video I am going to offer a little bit of my own personal opinions, but I really want to focus on facts. So we're going to be looking at statistics today and also a little bit of my own opinions on the matter. So let's go ahead and get right into this. So from my experience, if you have absolutely no programming experience whatsoever and you start from scratch and you want to start learning, it takes on average, from what I've seen, about a year to 2 years to get to the point where you feel comfortable enough to start working as a developer. Now, this does vary very largely. It can be anywhere from a few months to 5 years, but really that's on average about a year to 2 years. So if you're 42 now, you could expect to say about the time you're 44 is when you would probably get your first job. But if you try really, really hard, you could get it much, much sooner. So it really just depends on how much willpower you have and also prior experience and how much time you're willing to put into learning. But don't let that discourage you, because just like any skill, it takes time to learn it, and you absolutely can learn it. And if you put more time into it and more effort, you can learn it a lot quicker. And that's just to get a programming job. So what you could do is actually get a tech job, just any tech job, some entry-level technology job, and you'll be closer to those types of people, closer to the programmers, and you'll be in an environment where you'll be more likely to be able to learn on the job and that sort of thing. But the question is it feasible? Is it something that you should do? And that is going to depend mostly on, is that what you want to do? Do you want to become a programmer? Do you not like programming? If you don't like programming, then the answer should be no. If you are interested in the subject, at the very least, you should at least start dabbling in it and maybe look up a few tutorials or, start a course online and just see if you enjoy doing it. That's the first step. If you do enjoy doing it, then I would say yes, it is completely feasible, and I would actually recommend it, because as time goes on, certain jobs are leaving and newer, more technical jobs are coming in. And so now is really a good opportunity to start learning these technical skills to be able to make sure that you can survive in tomorrow's job market. I've worked at several companies and I've seen people of all ages. I've seen people that are literally just fresh out of high school, and I've seen people that are in their 50s. And so there's a huge mixture of different ages of people that are working in this industry. Now, I don't really know when all of these people started, but there's definitely a huge array of ages of people working in this field. But just to put it plainly, yes, I absolutely believe that it is not too late for you to go ahead and start learning programming, and it is completely feasible. It is completely possible for you to get a programming job within the next few years if you actually put your time into it. Now I want to go ahead and get into some facts now and some statistics based off of surveys of developers and job projections and that sort of thing. But I just want to go ahead and say some of these statistics might sound or seem like it's going against what I just said, but you have to understand that right now we're in a turning point. We're in a huge turning point. I think that maybe if you were to ask this question 10, 15 years from now, and you were 42 in like 2028, 2030, and you were trying to learn programming then, and you had no technology experience whatsoever, it might be way more difficult than it is now. But right now, we're in a perfect time for you to go ahead and start, because I would say we're really at the peak of how easy it is to get a programming job. So this first one here is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and according to this website, it says the job outlook, the employment of computer programmers is projected to decline 7% from 2018 to 2028. So essentially within the next 8 years or so, you could probably see a 5 to 7% decline in open positions for programmers. And the reason why is probably because, actually it says it right here, programming can be done from anywhere in the world, so companies sometimes hire programmers in different countries, and that is completely true. I've seen it time and time again. But again, don't let that discourage you. That is over the next 8 years, and it's only 5 to 7%. This says 7%, but already 2 years have gone by, so 5 to 7 is what I'm saying here. But it's only 5 to 7% over the next basically 8 years. So that if you think about it, that's not really that huge of a change. It's definitely a noticeable change, but don't let that discourage you. you are still going to have plenty of open positions. Right now, there's just so many open positions for programmers and not enough programmers to fill these positions. The next thing I want to look at is the Stack Overflow Developer Survey for 2019. And this one specifically, I'm selecting the professional developers. So there's all respondents and then professional developers, people who actually work in the field. And it looks like about 15 to 16% do not have a degree. So starting here, like some college, but they didn't end up getting a degree, 11.4%, secondary school, 5.2%, primary school, about 0.5%, or I never completed any formal education whatsoever, another 0.5%. So we're looking at about 15 to 16% of people who work in the field who do not have a degree at all. So if you think about that, that's actually kind of a large number. That's about 15% of all programmers do not have a degree. So it is definitely 100% possible to get a programming job without a degree. That would mean these people are most likely self-taught, or maybe they went to a coding boot camp. And that's another thing. You could go attend a coding boot camp if you want to. I wouldn't personally recommend it, but you can totally do that. It would be a way to fully immerse yourself in that experience and learn a lot in a very short amount of time. But the point is, you can definitely get a job without a degree, so you don't have to worry about spending 4 years in college. You can just start learning now. I just wanted to show you the most popular technologies here. You see, we have JavaScript, which is at 67.8%, HTML, CSS, and then it goes down to the least popular, which is like WebAssembly, Clojure, Elixir, etc. The reason why I wanted to point this out is because there's more JavaScript jobs than there are anything else. You can look at this and see, like, what are the most in-demand technologies right now? What are the technologies that are super popular, that seem to be growing, and focus on that, because if you look down here and you look at like Scala, you probably don't want to start learning Scala right now, because odds are in the future, there won't be as many Scala opportunities as there are HTML and CSS and JavaScript opportunities. But also at the same time, you don't want to let that be the only thing. You want to do some research, because for instance, Go and Kotlin, even though they're low, those are actually growing. So maybe in 10 years, Kotlin or Go will actually be all the way at number 1. So you don't know, but you want to do some research. But one thing I would say is JavaScript, HTML, and CSS are probably here to stay. So those are always good choices. But yeah, you can look, actually, I will leave a link to this in the description, because I want you to look through this and just kind of get an idea of the statistics that are out. And I don't want you to get discouraged by this stuff. You have to understand that that's just the way it is now. If there are people doing it, if there are people out there who are getting these jobs without a degree or getting these jobs at certain ages, then you can do it too. There's no reason you can't do it. So the question is, are you too old? And I'm gonna go ahead and say, no, you're definitely not too old. You can still definitely do this. But the caveat would be, do you want to? Is it worth it to you? Do you want to put in the effort? If so, then yeah, I would say go for it, especially in San Diego. Okay, so I went to San Diego, developer opportunities in San Diego, and let me show you. There are just so many. I went down, I've been going down this list for a minute, and there are tons and tons of jobs available in San Diego. So like you said, there's lots of available jobs in San Diego for developers. So again, that's another reason to go ahead and do it. And if this is for everyone else, if you live in a city where, let's say you're 42, and you live in a city where there are no developer jobs really, and you want to learn programming, but you don't want to move, that's also fine, because remote positions for programming is huge. People work remote all the time in programming. So just to recap, I wanted to mostly base this off of statistics rather than just going into my own opinion, but really, I mean, based on the statistics and my opinion, yes, you can totally do it. I don't think anybody really is too old to learn programming, but to get a job in programming, if you're already close to retirement age, obviously you probably don't want to go ahead and try to start getting into a technical field. But at your age, you are totally fine. You've got plenty of time to learn it and then get into the field and even climb the ladder. So that is my answer to you. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments so I can answer yours in the next video. Thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed yet, please give me a subscribe, like if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next video.